It is time now to know what's on the front pages of Nigerian newspapers, and broadcast journalist Ifeanyi Egbule, as well as Dari Odufowoko, journalist as well, joins me in the studio to look at the papers this morning. Gentlemen of the press, good morning.
Good morning.
Right, let's head straight to the papers, and I begin with the business day. China grew economy on land reform. Nigeria can. You find details of that story on the pages of the business day. To the national economy now, federal government accepts World Bank's advice, slashes electricity subsidy by 40%. Right, details of that story on the pages of the national economy. To the Daily Trust, traders, experts worry as Naira free fall continues. Currency hovers around 500 Naira to a dollar. What CBN should do to ease situation. Details of the story on the pages of the Daily Trust. To the Blueprint now. Ahead PIB passage today. Host communities raise concern, insist on 10% equity. You find details of the story on the pages of the Blueprint. To the Guardian now. 6 months after Nigeria yet to domesticate, implement AfCFTA. Free trade will commence when crucial criteria are completed, says Customs. To the Leadership newspaper now, how bandits starve, torture Islamia pupils daily. How bandits starve, torture Islamia pupils daily. Find details of that story on the pages of the Leadership newspaper. To the Nigerian News Direct now, insecurity, illegal possession, importation of firearms to attract 3-year jail term. Illegal possession, importation of firearms to attract 3-year jail term. To the First newspaper now, how Kinsmen Close Associates sold out Nnamdi Kanu Inter-Society Group. You find details of the story on the First newspaper. To the Punch newspaper now, we are seeking explanation from federal government on Kanu's arrest, says Britain. UK ready to provide consular assistance to Kanu, the man's due process. Biafran agitators, lawyers, rights, ESS, alleged IPOB leader was kidnapped. Kenyan authorities handed over Nnamdi Kanu to Nigeria, alleges IPOB. Details of the story on the pages of the Punch newspaper. To the Nigerian Tribune now, Kanu, UK IPOB brother, provide more insight into his arrest trial. To the Vanguard newspaper, our position on Nnamdi Kanu, British government. Family protest extradition, alleges abduction from Kenya, says it violates international law. A stand on Nnamdi Kanu by British government. No going back on Biafra struggle, IPOB. He must not die in custody, Fani Kaide wants. Federal government competent in handling security matters, Arewa Consultative Forum. To the Nation newspaper now, security probes Kanu to uncover IPOB financiers. Kanu's core logs, social media accounts being screened. UK may initiate talks with government, Igbo leaders, others call for fair hearing. He may be charged with inciting killings. All right. To the Daily Sun now, UK engages federal government over Kanu's arrest, demands due process in trial, promises IPOB leader consular services. He was arrested in Kenya, says family. Coalition of Igbo British lawyers condemns Kenya's role. All right, let's quickly, first of all, look at the story, the new development with regards to Nnamdi Kanu's case, where we're seeing the British government seeking to provide, or wanted to provide, Kanu consular assistance, and also demanding information from the government with regards to his arrest. And the question is, do we think that that could put a spin on the case, Ify?
Depends on what angle you're looking at it. Now, you have two countries talking about a gentleman who I believe he probably has a British passport,
yes,
as it is. Now, this has happened. There were so many things that were being said about him on social media. Oh, he was arrested with his Nigerian passport. Well, the idea now is that he's here in Nigeria and he's going to answer to a lot of atrocities, of course, that may have been committed. They're saying he's the one that actually engineered some of this. Now you're asking, is there going to be a spin on the matter with the UK now saying, look, we're going to provide consular services as it is? I'm just saying that this is unfolding. So much is going to happen as it is. Tempers will be flayed, with this idea of Kanu being in custody now. What I would say is that people need to relax from the kind of things that they're saying all over social media. And when you look at it again, some of these things may also cause some kind of trouble here and there with those things that are coming out. But we're waiting to see what it is when we talk about the conversation that Britain is going to have with Nigeria. What tilt is it going to take? Are you going to say, just let the man go? It's practically impossible for anyone to do that.
Right.
There are issues that the government will want to have answers to, questions they want to have answers to. And I'm sure he's going to have his day in court. So we sit and watch how that unfolds.
Darry.
Well, the bottom line now is Nnamdi Kanu is in custody. The important thing now is that Nnamdi Kanu should have his day in court.
You sure will.
The intervention or interference, maybe by Britain, to me, is still not out of place.
Okay.
It is within reasonable jurisdiction. What they have simply said is, we'll provide consular assistance. He is entitled to it.
Okay.
Don't forget, he is also a British citizen. But the offenses committed, or alleged to have been committed, were committed here, on Nigerian soil. He's a Nigerian citizen. He holds our passport. He was once arrested. He was facing trial. He submitted himself to the process of even having some prominent person stand surety for him.
Yeah.
He put this gentleman at risk by jumping bail. So, apart from the case he may have with the federal government, there is also the beauty of helping this gentleman who stood surety for him to escape the long arm of the law. I am happy for them that now Nnamdi Kanu, either willingly or unwillingly, is back to face his own trial. Exonerate them, because, for example, Abaribe has been labeled seriously over this matter. Yeah. I didn't like it all along. Kanu is his brother. Take it as we are Africans. You are my sister, you are my brother, I find you in and every person that is accused is innocent until proven guilty. So at the point he was standing surety for him, he was standing surety for an innocent man who was having his day in court. But Kanu, by his own action, almost put Abaribe in trouble. But now he's back. Let him, with or without Britain, whether he was abducted or kidnapped, whether he returned willingly, whether he was arrested normally.
These are the issues that has to do with human rights that have to be, the government have to give details
all
about.
Those issues too should be trashed out in court. If a man is abducted and he's still alive, we thank God. Let him go to court and prove that, I was abducted. You know what we call trial before trial? All those ones, the issue of jurisdiction, the issue of legality, the issue of, lawyers, technicalities, they would first spend time explaining. Immediately they want to start this trial now. A lawyer will go and get another saying, until the issue of his, how he was arrested is resolved, he cannot. Let's have it's time, let's have this distraction from the many issues bothering us. Kanu is here, he's in custody. I want to appeal to those supporting him and even those opposing him to let go of the matter. Some of the things they will say will add more to his problem. If somebody is saying, with the arrest of Kanu now, you will see more bombing in the southeast, are you helping him? Or somebody is saying, now that we have Kanu in custody, you will see that the bombings and the killings will stop. Are you helping him? Let's watch what we say. Let this man, I won't call him a gentleman, have his day in court. Let the law, like I will support one thing Britain is saying, let the process be free, fair, credible,
and
transparent. We should not see him as a prisoner of war. No, that will not help anybody. He is a Nigerian citizen, accused of offences against the state, and he has pleaded not guilty. Let the process show that we don't hate him. We may hate what he is alleged to have done, but we don't hate him as a person. So law is based on provisions of our books. It should not be tilted for or against in this process. Let Kanu have his days, because it won't be days in court. Let him explain things we may not know, and let him exonerate himself, if possible, from the charges preferred against him.
All right. Let's move to another issue right now that is of concern to a lot of persons, talking about some of our abducted students. So if you look at the Leadership newspaper this morning, it has been said how bandits starve, torture Islamia pupils daily. And in one of the papers, again, there were talks about despite 20 million naira ransom being paid, the students have not been released, and it's generating concern. What exactly is going on? You hear some persons saying, you know, pay the ransom, others saying don't pay ransom, others saying negotiate with these people. Yet we still have our children in custody despite ransom being paid. And you still are starving these pupils, despite the whole conversation that is being had. Where does this leave us, Ife?
I'm looking at it, as long as we continue to negotiate, as long as we continue to talk to bandits as it is, this is what you'll continue to have. Because you're saying, look, some parents had to raise 180 million just so their kids can come out. Some had been killed. They paid that money. They found that they could get money. People are being treated with kid gloves. It's just for the government to go all out and show them that it's no longer business as usual. We're looking at this now, how they starve, torture Islamia pupils daily. Now, they're the ones who would release this thing. No one knows exactly what's happening right there in the enclave. True. You have no idea. But they're the ones who would release this to the public to say this is exactly what it is that's going on. And you know how it is that we are with children, our children here. When you hear that something is going wrong with your child, you're so apprehensive. You want to do everything that you can to see that you bring those children out. But Veronica, I would say to you, this is quite sad that I'm admitting right here on national TV. I feel so overwhelmed. It's becoming like it's a daily thing. It's becoming like a way of life for us. When it happens, you're now asking, okay, so how many children we're taking? What's it going to be? Before you know it, they are forgotten. Remember the Chibok girls.
Adjusting to the whole.
That's it. It becomes a way of life. And I'm sure they're in their own, you know, area where it is that they are looking at it and thinking, where is the next school that we're going to? Where are we going to pick the next set of children? So what are we talking about? They're taking the government for granted. They're shoving it in their face to say, look, we're doing this, we're picking your children, and you're not doing anything. So if you ask me, the buck stops on the table of government. And it's not just about one man. Because we keep talking, everyone's mentioning, it's Buhari, he's not doing well. Buhari is just one man who was picked from amongst all of us. So it's a collective thing. How are we going to do it? Everyone needs to, you know, contribute to what it is that we're talking about. Then again, you look at it. Are we getting to that stage where they're saying no schools? You know,
because we've seen some states close some
we
of
have
their
reached
schools.
that level. We have reached that stage where you now want to shut down the whole schools. Are we thinking about homeschooling our children? How do you homeschool for people who are not even able to sleep in their homes? Some people have been sacked from their homes as we speak. Now we're in the south. You're thinking it's not going to get here, but gradually it is inching closer to us. And before you know it, it's something that everyone will test, because it can be anybody's child.
Absolutely.
It can be
absolutely. In fact, some days ago, we saw a report saying that some schools in the Federal Capital Territory have been placed on red alert. Some have been closed down. And like she mentioned, handling this issue with kids' gloves, is that what the situation is at this point?
You see, I'll keep saying this. We come here, we talk, we check your social handles. A lot of people say different kind of things, but some of us are not deterred.
Of course.
I'll say this again. What is happening concerning abduction and kidnapping is an extension of the Boko Haram war going on in the northeast. It is an extension. I don't know why it's difficult for people to see this. Why the sudden target at schools? It's for two reasons. We are telling you Boko Haram, book is haram. Education is a sin. We will not allow it. That was the beginning of the whole thing.
Yes.
And we will work towards ensuring that no child goes to school. They are gradually achieving it in that region. Not only in northeast, even in the northwest and north central.
Yes.
Niger. Look at Niger. Schools are closing down. It's a daily thing. Then look at Kaduna, look at Katsina, look at Zamfara, KB, Yobe. So that axis is almost completed. That is one. Two, there is need for funds to continue the war, that senseless war. How do you think they'll get funds to buy guns, feed those kid soldiers that they have there? These are the kind of, they get this money from kidnapping and abduction now. They are virtually using the ISWAP style. They are using the jihadi style in Iraq, in Libya, in Mali. These were things we were hearing of being done in those countries. It's here with us now. Kidnap some kids or some people, get ransom, fund the fighters. Come back for more. They now have the abducting arm of their army.
And techniques.
The ransom arm. Those who, you realize that those who collect the ransom are not those who abduct. They have units to keep the war going. And we, as a people, we, as a government, have refused to tie these things together and call it what it is. It is only when you tie it together and you call it the name it is that you can know what glove.
I'm throwing back the question at you because you asked why are we not seeing it as such, and I'm wondering why.
We are not seeing it because it has become our way as a people to label things for convenience. Don't let's call them terrorists so that we don't gun them down. Like, are you not hearing people waging war in the media that don't call them terrorists? They are aggrieved people. Aggrieved.
Don't call
you
them
take children, you kill two of them. In our very eyes, you send their bodies to us to show us how serious you are, and you are aggrieved. You are aggrieved. And somebody wants me to call such a person an aggrieved Nigerian, not a terrorist. Somebody is even saying you should stop calling them bandits. For how long?
Stop calling them criminals.
Criminals. For how long are we going to pretend? If he said they are being treated with kids' glove, and I am saying it is only when you call them what they are that you know which glove
to use.
In handling them. If you keep calling a live wire rubber, you will handle it with a polythene glove. You will think it is safe. But when you know this is live wire,
you know how to handle it.
Naked wire, you will get the right kind of gloves to handle it. So it is not just about this issue of negotiating with criminals. I don't blame the government for it, and I'll tell you why.
Why?
Sometimes government will say we will not. El-Rufai came out and said I will not pay a dime. You know how well he has been abused. Somebody said if it is your son, I know you will pay. He came out to say kidnap my son, I will still not pay. People have been abusing him since then. There was a time Buhari said we will not give money to criminals.
Perhaps it's a reaction to what a statement he made
years
ago.
Years ago. Now, the president said we will not patronize criminals with a fund. And then, shortly after, there was kidnapping in Katsina, his home state. And people are saying, just bring our boys. If you either you go and pay whatever they ask for. And if the government goes behind the scene to pay, are we actually going to blame them? The people ask for it. All of us must know that criminals will always be criminals. Now, 20 million was paid, the children were not released. 180 million was paid, the children were not. You know why? They suddenly realized that, there is more where this is coming from. let's use these ones to still get them. And they
and that's why I'm saying that it's important for government to change strategy. That's the truth.
Sources are even saying many of the children in custody are dead, and we are still paying.
So what are we talking about? We're still saying the same thing. So change your strategy.
Let me now say this.
Information gathering. What happened to information gathering?
Nnamdi Kanu was not arrested in Nigeria. I can imagine the effort that went into getting him. Kudos to all those who did that.
Yes,
because
that's what a lot of persons are saying.
People should answer to their offenses.
Right.
If he has questions to answer, he should provide answer. I'm not against his arrest. I am for it. I am pressing the intelligence unit of our forces for a job well done. But I want to say that same effort should be put into tracking down these local criminals too. Let's get them in. Let's bring, there are people at the top of all these groups. You bring in these things, you scatter the herd. Bring in the shepherd and the herd will scatter. Get intelligence enough, gather enough intelligence, go for the right arrowheads, and let's have some peace. Let's have some peace.
And now that he's talked about arrowheads, you find out, remember there were times that it had been said that you look inside government also, there are people who will be culpable, if you understand what I'm talking about.
Government had once said that they were going to, release
bring
names.
In those arrowheads, they will mention names.
So what's stopping you from releasing those names? We have this thing about culture and tradition. When things happen, it is the poor people that you have their names right there in the open. But when it involves people who are of influence, very influential people, you find that their names are not there. You're saying to us
maybe there are no evidences yet.
That you don't want to mention their names. Sorry, we don't.
Maybe there are no evidences yet.
We can't have that conversation right here.
No, maybe we are not saying
this is Nigeria where
maybe there are no evidence. You don't just go mentioning people's names.
Yes, we understand that.
Let them get the perpetrators who will say, look, you are our sponsor.
That's right.
Until that is done.
It can happen.
No, you can't mention people's
just the
names.
way that you have mentioned, they went out of their way, found a way. They were not making noise until it just came out. People couldn't believe
that he was in Nigeria since Sunday.
That is it. People
And I saw the picture.
You're gloating.
No, I'm not gloating. I am happy that our intelligence can actually work. You can't take that away from me.
Absolutely.
I'm a proud Nigerian that we were able to do this.
Everyone is proud. With regards to
all
to be happy about.
Is peace. The government needs to find a way to do that so that our children.
It's not about gloating over somebody's arrest.
Let's leave it now. Daddy, let's leave it now. Thank you for your contribution, Daddy Odufoka and Ifeanyi Egbule. Thank you. You can continue the arguments after now.